We are on LUPIT'S Instagram, doing an Instagram live with Lola Grace today. We're heading all the way over to Sydney. Super excited to talk to her. She is a full-time instructor, competes in the ExoGen competitions, and she really wants to chat about flexibility and free dance today. So I'm super excited to have her. If you pop on here, Lola, go ahead and do a little request to join the live. Just a little thing, if you are new to pole or you are interested in pole and you are looking outside and looking inside and saying, wow, this stuff looks really fun, this looks stuff really neat, I do have a free class for you over on my page at Sergia Louise. So go check that out, the link in my bio, and we can get you on your way to learning more about this pole dance stuff that everyone's doing. So yes, Lola Grace teaches at Bobby's in Sydney, as a very distinct, really in with that sensual, sexual style. So, she has really taken that to the competition stage. And hi Lola, how's it going? Go ahead and request to join the live. And teaches like 20 classes a week over there. So she's going to chat to us about all the things that, she wished she would have known, and is additionally, she's additionally studying to her, I believe it's her psychiatry degree. So she's a super people person and loves to see people grow through pole dance. So she's going to hop on here right now. Hello, hello.
Hello. Oh my gosh.
So wonderful to have you.
I'm so excited to chat to you. Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Let's get right into it. So tell me about, how you found your unique style, and what would you describe as your style?
Definitely flowy, a bit gooey. I like to think of myself as a bit of like a mermaid on the pole.
Yes, I see it.
Yeah, the long hair, the long hair and I don't know. I like to move kind of like liquid. So, yeah, very, very like flowy, and I'm not a big trickster. I think I'm definitely more like a floor whore and definitely spin pole. No static for me, please.
Oh, I love this. This is so interesting. Classic Bobbies.
Girl from Sydney, yeah. So I never learned static. So when it comes time to miss pole every year, I like get this kind of 2 months out, I start to panic. Like, oh no, I need to suddenly become like really good at static shit.
Well, that's cool. I mean, you don't need to have static. People have what they love to do and what they feel comfortable and gooey doing. And you know what? When you expand on that, that's when that unique style is born,
Totally. Look, it's a bit controversial, but I actually think that it's kind of unfair that you have to go on the static pole. So if you don't have points, but it's not taught in all studios. So I feel like there's kind of like this disconnect between how we raise pole dancers and then what we expect them to be like once they're at an elite level. Like really on static, I am like an intermediate one. And I've been pole dancing for 13 years, and on spin I'm like elite level. So I just think, I don't know, I definitely think people who start on both have an advantage. But do you know what? I could have turned around at some point in my pole journey and been like, I'm going to conquer this static asshole pole. But, and every now and then I do actually, I make that a goal. But I think once you get good on spin, it's really hard to then be shit at some things. It's really hard to kind of feel super inadequate and clunky because you're so used to like kind of being flowy and being quite competent. So I think
so then you just go back to the spin pole because it feels good, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. It feels good. It feels like home. Feels like home to me.
Yes. So tell me, with the ExoGen competitions, are they also requiring static and spin?
No, that's what I love about ExoGen. It's really open. Whatever you want, so it can be on spin or static, and they don't really prioritize tricks. So yeah, like there's I think they assess the difficulty of your moves, but your moves could be base work. Your moves could be like transitional moves, like having a cool kind of like, I don't know, headstandy thing to a slinky shoulder thing. Like they kind of very open minded in that way. I think they're quite progressive in that they just let you do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And you just got to be really good at it.
That's awesome. I love that there is a space for that, for just like innovation and looking at the creativity and not saying, okay, you must do it this way, you must do it that way, but let's see what these people bring, you know, and let's see what these unique, you know, minds bring to the stage. So yeah.
I'm super dance focused, which I love. And they're looking at like musicality and kind of like the intricacy of your choreography over, you know, how many tricks can you fit in 3 minutes kind of thing. So yeah, no, I really love the Exogen comps. Yeah, I did the first one. We had our first exotic generation in Australia in 2020, and I flew down to Melbourne for it. It was like literally the weekend before Australia or Sydney went into lockdown. So it was really lucky that we kind of were able to run that event. Just got in the nick of time. And yeah, I was so shocked to win the flow division that year. And then the following year, I think Camille won from Western Australia. She's amazing. And then they had the Worlds, because when you win the nationals, they were like, come to Russia and compete in the Worlds. And I was like, fuck yeah, I will be there. I will tomorrow. You know, I was so excited. Haven't been to Russia yet. So obviously not a good time to go now. And yeah, fuck Putin. But I was really excited to kind of just, you know, to go traveling and to compete overseas internationally. And then, yeah, COVID happened, and then that put a stop to that. So yeah, they held the virtual Worlds online, and we had to reapply to get in. And yeah, so that just happened like a month ago or something, I think. And yeah, I was so shocked that I won that one. I thought it was very nice.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. And I'm so happy to see, you know, these competitions and the studios getting back online and finding different ways to continue to bring the community together, even if it's maybe in a couple different pivoted ways. Do you know what I mean? Since it's nice to see things come alive again.
Definitely. I mean, like, it's not perfect. We had some technical difficulties and stuff, you know, and it's not quite the same. It doesn't feel as, it's not as scary competing, obviously, online routine. So there's lots of advantages and disadvantages, you know. I don't think I think it's harder to convey like stage presence and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's lots of good things, and then there's some things that are like, I think I miss like the audience interaction as well. And then afterwards, like, usually people like party and celebrate, whereas I was at home with my mom watching on Zoom. You know? We were like, yeah, oh my God. And then we just went to bed.
Yeah. It is a totally different experience, but you know, but also some of the live stuff is coming back too. So that's good. I heard that you not only are a pole instructor, but did you teach high school?
Yeah. So I'm an English and history teacher, modern history.
Right now, now you are.
Moment in schools, but I could. I mean, every now and then I think, oh, I should get some casual days, you know, a little bit extra pocket money. But yeah, I've still got my teaching number. I taught for 5 years. So that was my first degree. I did a Bachelor of Arts, majoring in philosophy and English literature. And as soon as I finished, I was like, I absolutely loved it, but I was like, I don't know how to make any money out of this. Like,
yeah, now what?
Anyway, and I couldn't, at the time, I should have gone into academics, I think, because in hindsight, I think I would have really liked to be a lecturer. But, you know, 21 and you just finished 3 years of study, that's the last thing you want to do is like 3 more years. So I just did a dip ed because my dad's a teacher, and I was like, that seems pretty easy. I know what that's like. I've seen him do it for years. So yeah, I became a high school teacher. Just kind of, yeah, it just turned out that way. And yeah, it was all right. It's a pretty shit job in a lot of ways. But I mean, they should be paid way more for.
Yeah, it's a hard job.
You're educating the next generation. You're literally babysitting like 30 children at a time. If you base that on like what a babysitter rate is. You know, you should be making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour. And yeah, it's a really exhausting job. You know, I worked in a really low socioeconomic school. So a lot of the students would turn up and they'd be stoned, or they'd be coming from broken families, and they'd be obviously dealing with a lot of serious trauma and disadvantage, and then you're expecting them to care about the Cold War, you know, like they're just not interested. So it was quite disheartening a lot of the time, and I think yeah, I just kind of got exhausted.
Burned out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got burnt out. So after 5 years, I was like, I need a break. So yeah.
Is that where you had you been teaching pole while you were in that job, and then you kind of transferred over to teaching more pole classes, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, so it kind of just happens naturally. My friends were keen to try it, and I had 2 poles at home, and I was lucky that I had I had a spare bedroom, and I started just teaching my friends just for fun, and then they told people, and then I just have strangers messaging me going, please, like, can you teach me? And so then I had to start like running classes. So I began teaching pole very like organically. Like I didn't even, I think every dancer would love to teach pole because it's like your hobby turned into a job. So it's like the dream job, really. But yeah, it just kind of happened out of necessity. They were like, yeah, I lived in a small coastal town, so there's only 1,000 people in my village. There was like 25,000 in a nearby village, about 20 minutes away, a town. So there was no studios. The nearest studio was in Newcastle, which is about 3-hour drive. So when I started at Bobby's in 2009, years there as a student, and then that was while I was a uni student as well. And then when I became a high school teacher, I moved back up the coast where I'm from to this small town, and that's how I ended up teaching my friends and like the community.
Yeah, so it just kind of happened like so many of us. We didn't think pole was gonna become our life, and then hey, there it was. Yeah.
Definitely not. I got into it because my auntie Charlotte, she was having her 40th birthday party, and she was a student at Bobby's. And so, you know, we hold like these hens parties and birthday parties at the studio. And so we went to one of those and we got all dressed up and, you know, like in the big heels. And I just thought it was so much fun that I signed up soon after with a cousin. And then, yeah, because, you know, you're so shy when you first start. You're like, oh, you know, I can't do it by myself. You're so scared. And I remember putting it off for like a year, waiting for my cousin to do it with me. And, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
We had to have them, and I still regret that. I'm like, God damn it, why did I wait? You know, I could be even better than I am earlier. Now it's just a race of time. That's not true. Anyone listening, you can start at any age. There's no rush. But yeah, I am annoyed that I wanted to start for so long and then I hesitated.
I kind of hear that from so many people and so many students who come in and take their first class. It's like the first question is, so how long did it take you to get here? Like they've been wanting to do it for 10 years. They've been wanting to do it for 6 years or 6 months or 1 year, but they couldn't quite get the courage to walk in. And once they do, they never go back.
That's right. Life gets in the way as well. I tell all my students all the time, never take a break, because time off while, you know, work or family's a bit stressful, but then shit gets in the way, and then suddenly a year or two's gone by, you've lost all your strength, and then you'll be kicking yourself when you come back, and everything hurts the skin more, you know, the pole burn is way more painful. So yeah, I think you just gotta prioritize it. Hey, you gotta be like, this is me time, this is my time to, like, you know, self-care. It's like it's so good for us that it should be a priority.
Yeah, it's good for the heart and the body. Yeah, totally. And I know that we wanted to chat a little bit about freestyle, and that you have some things to share with us about free dance and freestyle and how that works for you, and tips on that. And
yeah,
sure.
I'm very passionate about freestyle. All my students will be like, oh, here it goes.
Here it goes.
So when I moved up the coast, right, because there was no studios around, and I think I was up to like maybe intermediate 4. Like I learned how to do leg hangs and stuff at Bobby's. But I hadn't learned yet how to do like static V's or any like really, really advanced moves. And so, but I was fully addicted. So that's why I bought the 2 poles, and I just kind of self-taught myself from there on, watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was watching you. Tell me, is it Sergia or Sergia?
Yeah, it's either Sergia or Sergia.
Okay, so is Sergia okay? No.
Yeah, Sergia or Sergia with a G, with like a G sound, or the G turns into an H sound.
Okay, all right, tricky, but it's a
Yep.
soft, like a Sergia, like a
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
right.
Yeah, and back then I guess it was all YouTube, right?
And Studio Vina, I was on Studio Vina. That was a lifesaver for me. I loved that. I met Tracy Caper on there. We became friends. This is a million years ago. But yeah, I used to watch you, Alethea Austin. A lot of, like, there was quite a few. I feel like American pole dancers really were quite pioneering around then, like back years ago. Yeah, and so yeah, it was just YouTube. So I'd find a YouTube video of someone doing something cool, and then I would just study it and watch it over and over, and then I'd teach it to myself. But yeah, freestyling. So because there was no studios and I couldn't take classes and I didn't have a teacher to teach me choreography, but I loved to dance. So I would just play music and I would just walk around the pole, occasionally do body rolls, do some body rolls this way, do some body rolls that way, you know, and eventually I would add on more complexity and like slowly got better at it. And I do think like I have to give freestyling credit, I think, for my style, because like there are elements of my style that are from Bobby's, like very showgirl, you know, but not really. Like a lot of my style is kind of a bit weird and a bit unexpected, and I think that's helpful to be unique, and that comes from just playing the music that makes you feel like moving or suits your mood at that moment, and then as you're dancing, kind of just learning how your body likes to move, because everybody is different. Not everyone feels good doing the same kind of movement. And then filming yourself, this is key, everybody. Film yourself, watch it back, and study the movement and be like, okay, that was a really awkward moment, but why was it awkward? You know, don't just be like, oh shit. Be like, it's because, you know, my wrist was like hyperflexed and looked broken, or it was because I was too jolty and I hesitated. And then you can just kind of slowly teach yourself how to dance well through just practicing freestyle. And your movement will become so much more unique and interesting and creative. Yeah, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love that you speak about it, because it's really, I really do feel, I agree with you. Those unique styles are born out of boredom, out of repetition, out of flossing through something a million times. And also, you know, the importance, another good point that you brought up is the importance. Yes, sure. At the beginning of your journey, you know, maybe you might not be ready to watch a video of yourself yet, but eventually it becomes such an incredible tool, because if you can step back and watch your videos objectively, you're looking for those little nuggets. You're like, oh my gosh, that felt amazing. I thought that was going to look so cool, and didn't read. Very interesting. You know what I mean? Or like, or that felt like nothing special, but whoa, can we recreate that, because that was so cool, you know? And you kind of have to just be, I love it that like you feel like so much of your style was born out of like being alone by yourself, not having to want to jam with, having to just turn on the music and move the way that you want it to move. You know, it's I really do believe it's like a lot of the style is born out of boredom, out of repetition, about being okay. Finding that time is an act of self-love, because to not get into this place where it's like, I need to be doing something. It's that state of flow where it is the like the goal is play, not the goal is the end result. The goal is play.
Absolutely. And it does kind of feel like you are getting in touch with your body, or you are connecting to something really deep. Like, I think it's a very different practice to practice choreography. It's a completely different skill. you're not memorizing, or it's like the opposite of rote learning. Like you're not memorizing moves and just going through the motions. You're kind of like feeling things and you're working things out as you go. And absolutely what you said about repetition is so important. I'm always telling my students, because my freestyle students are always like, I feel so repetitive and I'm always going into the same sequence or the same transition. And I'm like,
great.
Wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But can you hone it? Can you polish it? Maybe you could tweak it a little bit. Maybe you can add a little extra hand gesture, a little detail. And then through that repetition, you become so attuned to that movement that more possibilities are created. And I just think, you know, I used to do like I loved pirouettes, but I'd always just do the same pirouette over and over. And I thought, okay, like rather than stop doing pirouettes, I was like, I'm just going to become like fucking amazing at them. And I'm going to do 3, and then I'm going to do 10, and then I'm going to do them backwards with my eyes closed. And it's that kind of idea of like, you know, when your body is naturally falling into the same patterns over and over, that's just muscle memory. That's great. You know, it's becoming automated, so it's easier for you to do shit. You don't have to think about it. But as you're doing it, maybe you could give yourself cues and be like, I want to make this extra big or extra large. Like I think that a lot of people don't feel like they're ready to start freestyling because they say, oh, I don't have the vocabulary. I don't have enough dance moves in my arsenal.
Three pieces of vocabulary, go to town.
Exactly. And I'm like, but like no real right or wrong in dance. Like there's, you know, aesthetics, and there's things that look good and there's things that don't look good. But you know, I'm not a trained dancer. Pole dancing was the first official dance classes that I ever took at 21. But I think that the cool moves that you come up with and that you become known for actually are it's the shit you make up. So like, you know, this is a dance, and like I don't even know, you know, maybe it didn't look that good, but it's dancing is just shape making. It's just moving your body in beautiful ways, sometimes not so beautiful ways. But I think I love to think about, have you read that Brene Brown book? It's The Art of Being Brave, or Being Brave.
Like all those books, Daring Greatly. What is the one is Courage? Is it Daring Greatly?
Daring Greatly, yeah.
Yes.
And that book resonated with me a lot. And she's got that TED Talk. Go look at her TED Talk, everybody, on YouTube. But she talks about how in order to be creative, we need to be vulnerable. We need to, and know what, like vulnerability is just an emotion that we all feel sometimes, and it's not pleasant because we feel, you know, vulnerable. We feel like, you know, we could be judged, or we could feel, you know, like shame. So, but if we are so scared of being judged or being wrong or looking bad or fucking up, then we never take any risks with our movement, and we never explore movement and try new things. And so I think there's like, it's almost a mental thing. You have to kind of take this leap off the cliff. Choreography is safe because someone else is telling you to do this, and you know, the teacher looks good doing it, so I feel like I would be safe kind of trying to copy that. But freestyle, you have to be willing to look stupid because you're trying new things. That's the whole point. So you should be recycling old choreography or old vocab. You should be going, okay, I normally do this back stag, and I usually land like this. Like, this is my vocab. But what if I did the back stag and I switched my legs around, and then I landed over here, and I kicked to my, you know, like, I just think freestyling, you have to kind of be willing to let go of the need to know what's going to happen next. And that's when the beauty and the magic happens, is when you just relax into it and you kind of let your body decide where. So it's almost, I think that's where fluidity comes from as well. It's kind of like almost this tug between, yeah, you need to be controlling your movement. You don't want to be floppy or jerky or jolty, and you need to have that nice extension in your limbs and some tension. But then say you're in a spin and you like get a lot of momentum, well, just like go with it and see what happens. Like, actually relax a little bit so that your legs can do some weird kind of things, and you know, you land in an unexpected way, and that could become new vocab for you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, that whole Brene Brown thing. It's like you know, you have to be vulnerable enough to step into the arena and say, this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it because I want to do it because I want to do it, and that's how things are born, right? Like
Yeah.
living. I had this great conversation a couple of weeks ago about how, you know, if you really look back at, you know, people that you love to watch dance, and you look back at their body of work, you're going to see so much repetition. You're going to see, oh my gosh, that was that move that they did 3 years later in that competition, but that was the beginning of when they learned it, and now look at it, it's a totally different shape, and I didn't even know that was the same move. Like, if you really look at it, it's because people are okay with spending time in that path of least resistance. And
Yeah.
that is okay.
Yeah.
Right? If we turn downstream for some of that and we just say, my body wants to do this, okay, I'm going to go down that path. Now that I have the awareness of what that path is, how can I now play with how this journey of this path goes? What if I switch just this piece? Put that back. Oh, what if I switch just this piece? Oh, put that back. Oh, what if I switch both these pieces at the same time? What if I did it backwards? You know, like all this kind of stuff. And you do have to be in a state of non-judgment and of flow, that space of play, in order to continually, you know, build upon that. But again, yeah, I feel like so much of, you know, we talk to people, it's just, there is this need to want to progress, when
Yeah.
maybe sitting back and living in the play and living in that maybe that vulnerability, or that repetition, we have to give ourselves permission to do so as well. I mean, freestyle, free dance is its own skill and has to be cultivated in a different way than the other things are, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, years ago, I think the first freestyle class I took was with Tracy Kafer in New York, and it just blew my mind. And I would go and do however many I could. I was there for a month, and I think I was like living at body and pole every day. And it's so therapeutic as well, because you kind of, when you are just kind of in this flow and you're moving for pure joy. I mean, there isn't a
Yeah.
balance, and I think there's a balance between being grounded in your body and just moving for joy and moving, you know, just for the kind of, you know, cathartic value of it. And also, I think it's really hard to turn off once you become a dancer. You know, the whole like, okay, I should change my level now. You know, like point those toes, like, you know. So there's always like this balance between, I think, your inner experience and then what the dance looks like for others. I guess it depends on the point of your freestyling. Sometimes I freestyle intending to create choreography. And so, of course, I'm thinking more like spatial awareness. I'm thinking about my students' ability, like, you know, no chest stands in this routine, you know, because they'll die or whatever. Yeah. But then other times, sometimes I'll just put a song on and I'll just move for the joy of it. And it's just the most amazing feeling. It's so good. But yeah, it's not very big in Australia. Not many studios do it, sadly. But yeah, really, really happy that we've got some classes running at Bobby's for it. Yeah, because I think it's so beneficial for sure. It's almost like it trains you. What you were saying about repetition, and how you watch dancers like body of work over the years, and there's these kind of, you know, obvious pathways of movement that they love or that they, and I think that goes to the lesson that it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So like, I would rather watch someone do the most stunning body roll, like, oh my god, just makes me salivate, over watching someone do like a fongie into a static V into a flippy shit to the floor. Like, I don't know, I'm just like, it's quality over quantity. So rather than, I think students get preoccupied with going up the levels and mastering moves and being like,
Yeah, checking it off.
yeah, and being like, oh, I'm into 3 now, I'm into 4, whatever. And I'm like, doesn't really matter if you still look shit with whatever you're doing. Like, why don't you stay into 2 and look really fucking good? And then once you've mastered that movement, because it's not the quantity, it's not being able to it's not pole struggle, it's pole dance. You know, you should be doing the moves beautifully. And well, no, I don't know. I think so anyway. You know, I guess some people are doing it for exercise, and that's fine. And not every pole dancer is going to go in and want to be a competitive pole dancer or a teacher or a performer. So that's fine. You know, at the end of the day, it's about enjoying it, you know. But
right. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's kind of like, it is still, even if you aren't looking towards a competitive career or performing, and you are just doing it for the joy of it, what a shame to miss out on the gifts that freestyle can give to you. Because there are different gifts that freestyle gives to you than checking off boxes, checking off tricks, so on and so forth.
totally. I think how I think about it is like, you know, doing classes and doing choreography classes and learning tricks. It's kind of like, you know, it's like being a singer, but only being allowed to sing the songs your teachers pick for you. Whereas freestyle is you can just sing whenever the fuck you want, however you feel. So it's almost like it's a totally different skill. It's being able to like create your own. I think freestyling is really helpful in choreographing. So if you can't freestyle, you know, how do you come up with good choreography? Like, how do you know if it feels good? Like, you gotta dance it and see if it comes naturally. And if it doesn't come naturally, it's probably gonna feel clunky to other people as well. So yeah, I just think there's so many benefits to it. I wish everyone did it more. I really, which I see huge progress in my students who do my freestyle classes. Like, it's one of those things where I really notice, and also in confidence, a lot of, I don't know, it's, you know, that feeling, you remember when we were young and we'd go out back in our day, but you know, you go out to the clubs or whatever, and like, you know, you're on the dance floor and you just feel super awkward in your body, just like, oh, and you need to have like, you know, a couple of drinks before you really kind of up and stop caring so much about, you know, what are my arms doing and stuff like that. I think freestyle gives you that confidence, you know, and it's a good fail safe. Like, if you're competing or you're performing and something goes wrong and you forget your choreo, you can just freestyle it. No one knows. It's brilliant, you know?
Yeah. And speaking on that, you are in school right now to get a new degree. And I would love to hear, you know, your thoughts about mental health and what pole has done for you, and what you have, what you think it brings to people.
Well, I'm studying psychology and I'm nearly finished my undergrad, which is exciting. So I think about this a lot because I guess when you're teaching, you're kind of like, you're seeing so many people. You come in contact with so many people every day, and I can kind of see how pole changes. They tell me as well. I've had a student say to me, I think we were working on twerking it's just for a routine. And so we were all having a laugh, you know, trying to make our booties wobble and jiggle and move in controlled, but, you know, uncontrolled ways. And she was like, at the end of the class, she came up to me and she was like, that's the first time I've ever looked at my bum in the mirror and like enjoyed looking at it, you know. And, you know, this person's like probably 30. I'm like, that's crazy that we go 30 years looking in a mirror judgmentally, and then it takes, you know, it's wonderful that, you know, pole dancing can kind of like teach women to look in the mirror. And I think instead of looking at the superficial things like, oh, do I have cellulite, you know, how skinny is my waist, you're looking at it more with an artist's eye, like, you know, kind of like, for example, I think that, you know, it's one of the things that is a treatment for some body dysmorphic issues is exposure to body, and they get people to look in the mirror over and over, just to kind of get used to seeing yourself, and it kind of creates acceptance, and you're not so phobic about it. And I think that is kind of what pole dancing does, because there's always mirrors in a studio. So while you're dancing, you're kind of exposed to your body. but you're also learning to admire it for its ability and its function over its form. And I do remember when I started pole dancing, I'd kind of like be walking around the streets of Sydney, like feeling like I've got this little secret superpower, you know, like I'm part of this niche, sexy, you know, like a Charlie's Angels or something. And I do think it gives you that kind of self-confidence, and it really boosts your self-esteem because you feel strong and you feel talented, and you also feel a little bit adventurous and a little sexy and a little bit exciting. And I think that is really healthy for women and men. Like, we're also multifaceted, and I think that we spend majority of our lives going to work 9 to 5. We have these hats that we put on, and if you're always just kind of, you know, going to work, going home, I think that you can easily become disconnected with your body. And I noticed this, like a lot of our new students, it's like they were just born into their body yesterday. Like sometimes I find it shocking, you know, like some people don't know what their hamstrings are, or, you know, what their hips do, you know, and it's such a shame because our bodies are these incredible machines capable of so much, and we just waste them sitting in a chair 9 to 5, 5 days a week. We barely enjoy them. So yeah, I think that pole dancing kind of, it allows you to connect with your body again and really enjoy being in your body, and it kind of allows you to explore more of what you're capable of. You know, so many people are constantly getting injuries just from sitting in chairs all day, and we're aching because we're not living these active lives. And yes, it's just such a waste. Like, if our bodies were a car, I reckon they'd be a really fucking fancy car. Like, they'd be a futuristic, you know, flying car, like a hover machine or something. Like, they're just, our bodies are incredibly adaptable, and just, oh, you can just teach them to do anything, you know. So yeah, I love that about pole, how you can, it's almost like you're playing a PlayStation game, and you know, and like you got to reach certain like points and shit, and you know, and then you can get to the next level. I think there's that element of it too, you know, even though we shouldn't be in a rush to climb the levels of pole. I do feel like you're kind of constantly getting this motivation and then sense of accomplishment, motivation and then accomplishment, because you got something to aspire to and work towards, and then yeah, it's a great feeling. It makes you feel amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and just what a beautiful, you know, pole being such a space and community for giving people permission to embody and to see what they are capable of. Yes, I just love it. And you know, it's like, you know, we're here, we got one body, you know, wouldn't it be interesting to enjoy the senses of your own body? And I think pole is just a great way of doing that. As far as mindset goes, I feel like, you know, my journey into pole and falling in love with it and being a beginner and then moving through, I really think it changed my brain to how I saw future things that I would try. You know, knowing that just that, you know, that for me it was like pole dance was always play, it still is always play, and it never had to change being play. And play took me so many places, and just that, proving that to myself, being like, oh my God, pole was like the only thing in my life that I didn't white knuckle. You know what I mean? And look where we are. Like, it became my life. I was able to see the world in that way, and you know, share it with so many people. Like, it really is one of those things that I think changes people as far as like how they, like you're saying, move through life and even other facets of their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Friends that we make, I think there's something really liberal and progressive about most pole dancers, and that I think being surrounded, because you're doing kind of like, it's, you know, like a sexy sport, I think it kind of attracts people who are a little bit more daring or open-minded, or maybe it encourages people to come out of their shell a little bit more and be more daring and open-minded. But, you know, I really like you know, we get all types of studio, and it's wonderful. I think it's great to see, you know, all different types of people coming together and sharing this love of something and being so supportive of each other and laughing, and, you know, it's great. I've made my best friends in pole. And yeah, it's wonderful. And it's such a great community. Like, we did pole icon recently. Myself and Blue Phoenix did a doubles pole icon, and I was saying to Chili Rocks organized it. It was an amazing event, and backstage they had like people documenting it and stuff, and they asked me about it, and I think I just mentioned like how everyone is so supportive. Like, even at comps backstage, you know, there's no bitchiness, there's no like sabotage, you know. It's not like what is it, I Love Tonya, or that movie about the ice skater. Like, no one's, you know, sabotaging each other's shoes. Like, it's just I don't know, I've heard like in other dance styles in the competition world, it can be pretty kind of like ruthless or bloodthirsty. There's none of that here. Like, it's wonderful. Everyone is so supportive and loving, and yeah, it's really lovely. It's a great community.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I actually came from that world. Oops, what's going on with my filter? Oh, hi. Oh, there we go. I keep clicking the phone to make sure it doesn't shut down on me. So I came from that world. I came from that dance world. So when I found pole, I was very clear that that was not how I wanted to continue my life. And I actually thought dance was done for me. And so finding pole and having like a whole nother chance to do it in a completely different way, in a space that was so supportive and so accepting of the different unique styles, and just so much love and play. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, you'll never go back, you know? Yeah, it's so cool. Well, I love it. I love chatting to you about this. I want to know what is next for you. What's next on the agenda for you? I know you do a ton of teaching.
So much. I've just had COVID, so I've been like at home watching heaps of Netflix and Stan, but I normally am teaching a lot. Yeah, so I'm going back to work today. Yeah, I have Floor Play coming up, which is a Sydney comp run by Amber Ray and Daisy, and it's all floor work, so that'll be really fun. I love floor work.
Yes.
That's in 2 weeks. Then I got Miss Pole Dance New South Wales. Tickets have already sold out for that. It's a much loved event run by Bobby. So that's really soon too. I haven't started either of these routines. Don't tell anyone. But it's because, you know, I am an extremely indecisive person, so I really I'm back. Okay. Yeah, I really struggle to make decisions. So like choosing a song is always really hard. And then what's my costume? And then how do I want to start? You know, so especially when I care about it a lot and I want it to be really fucking amazing, I second guess myself a lot and question a lot. And it takes me a long time to create it. So,
and especially with all these new live shows coming up, you're probably like so giddy to get back on the stage, and you want it to be so good, and you want it to be the thing that you've been waiting for all these years.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that, I guess. And there's also this feeling of like, I'm 34 and, you know, I feel pretty good, you know, like I don't have any injuries or anything, touch wood. But, you know, and I guess you know, obviously there are pole dancers out there, you know, Greta, you can do it into however long you want. But, you know, I'd like to have kids one day, and, you know, I don't know. So I'm just, in the back of my mind, there is this kind of, you know, that fucking biological clock is ticking. And I do feel like there is kind of, I don't know, an expiry date kind of on how long I can compete for. So I do kind of want to make it count. I'm not very competitive. I don't really care about winning. Like, I never get upset if I don't play anything. Like, I'm really not a competitive person. But I do like to I think it's important that when you're performing or competing, the audience is really relaxed and really is kind of mesmerized and and entranced by your performance, and they trust you. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's important to me. So yeah, just want to make sure the shows are really kind of intriguing and smooth and flowy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, something you can be proud of, something you put up there for fun and just know that you worked hard on it and it's something that you loved to create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of want to give a little bit of you, I guess. There is always that tension I've found over the years between choosing songs and music and dancing for you, and then also trying to, get those points, and then also thinking of the audience. Because, like, my music taste is really eclectic. And I like, I would love to dance to fucking, some 70s tracks every now and then. But then I'm like, like, it doesn't build, and, how alive when that song came out. So there is really that tension between putting on a show for others and then just doing whatever the fuck you want and that you feel suits you. So it's always a little bit tricky competing. I prefer like just performing, I think, or guest performances, because then there's like you kind of feel like, well, I can just do whatever the fuck I want because no one's judging me and it doesn't matter. But I think I'm going to go into it with that this year anyway. Like, there's really no point putting a lot of pressure on yourself to tick those boxes if it's going to ruin the love and the joy for it. So I'm just going to be me and, do what I do best. Maybe I won't go on the static pole at all this year in Miss
There
Pole.
you go. There you go.
Oh,
Well, I'm super excited. I know we're all excited to see what you come up with. We will be watching. Everyone, make sure you go follow Lola Grace because can't wait to see what she comes up with to put on the stage next. And thank you so much for being here. That was such a fun conversation to have.
oh God. Next time, let's do it in the evening so we can have a wine and then I'll just.
That sounds great. We'll have another conversation over wine.
Yeah, that'd be love.
Yes. All right, my dear. We'll keep dancing and thank you everyone for joining us and take
So
care
much.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.